There's some things that everyone needs to stop doing if they don't want their VA claim reduced. Welcome to VA Made Easy. I'm VA career attorney and U.S. Army combat veteran Ed Farmer. Today I'm going to discuss 5 common mistakes veterans make that could result in their rating being reduced. If you've been denied your claim, visit me at vetlawoffice.com. We provide zealous advocacy. We'll prep you for your CMP exams, help you get buddy statements, help you get medical nexus opinions. Schedule a free consultation at vetlawoffice.com or call 1-800-700-4174. But for now, let's get into it. So the first common mistake I see veterans committing that results in them getting reduced is they don't prep for their CMP exams. So they ask for an increase for some condition and they go into the exam and just sit there and say nothing. They assume that the examiner is going to look at all the evidence in the record, your buddy statements, the medical evidence, and make a determination based on that. But I think we all know at this point that these examiners stink. They're not looking at the evidence you submitted. What I tell my clients is you need to educate that examiner about the severity of your condition. Don't go in there and minimize symptoms. Portray yourself as if it's your worst day. And this leads me to the second most common mistake that veterans commit that leads to a reduction in their rating is they don't research how their condition is actually rated by the VA. The VA doesn't arbitrarily make up the criteria of how they rate conditions. There's actually criteria laid out in the Code of Federal Regulations. They're called diagnostic codes, and they lay out what symptoms or criteria you need to meet to get a particular rating for a particular condition. I mean, if you're already maxed out on a condition, why would you ask for an increase for it? Maybe you don't even meet the higher criteria. Do you really want to open that door and give the VA a chance to reduce you? So find out how your condition is rated, look up the appropriate diagnostic code, and see what symptoms you have to meet if you want that higher rating. And do this before you ask for the increase, because once you ask for the increase, now that door's open. Get help if you need it. A good VA accredited representative can find diagnostic code and prep you for that CMP exam so you know what criteria to hit when you go in there. The third most common mistake I see veterans committing that results in their rating being reduced is they keep filing claims after they're 100%. Now, there are certain circumstances where you're 100% and you probably want to keep filing claims. One of them is if you're not permanent total, so you have a condition that's likely to be reduced, such as cancer in remission, or you're trying to get some sort of special monthly compensation, such as aid in attendance or housebound benefits. But if you're already 100% permanent total or have permanent TDIU, stop filing claims. You're just, again, asking the VA to look into your file deeper. You want to believe how many clients that have come to me where we've got them 100% and now they're being reduced because they decided they were going to keep filing claims. Some sort of evidence ended up in the file showing that a condition's improved, or maybe they're working a side job and they're on unemployability. Don't risk it. I've asked veterans and clients before, why do you keep filing claims after you're 100% P&T? There seems to be this thought that the U.S. government is going to make you give up unemployability once you get Social Security. And where I think they're getting this from is every few years or so, there's a recommendation that gets made that says the government could save money if they ended unemployability once a veteran got retired. However, it's just been a recommendation. I've never seen any serious movement to implement that recommendation, so I wouldn't worry about it. Even if the law got changed and you could no longer collect unemployability and Social Security, it's likely you'll be grandfathered in. But just stop filing claims with your 100% P&T unless you fall under one of those conditions like trying to get aid in attendance. You're clogging up the system and you're opening up yourself to be reduced. The fourth common mistake I see veterans commit that ends up in them being reduced is they file for an increase after surgery on a service-connected condition. Now, I get the thought process in this one. I had surgery. That means my condition's gotten worse. I'm entitled to an increase. And yes, in some instances, having surgery on a service-connected condition will result in either a temporary or permanent increase. For example, if you have a total knee replacement, you're going to get 100% for 4 months after that total knee replacement, and then the minimum rating you can receive is 30%. However, many times surgery actually improves a condition. So you get a stent put in your heart, that improves blood flow to the heart. You have surgery to relieve a compressed nerve, and that relieves your radiculopathy or sciatica that may be service-connected. In some instances, you want to be careful asking for an increase after surgery because that surgery could have improved your condition, and now, yes, you may get a temporary 100%, but afterwards, they may reduce you to a rating below what you had before the surgery. And the fifth most common mistake that I see veterans commit that results in them being reduced is they don't respond to a proposed reduction. So if the VA thinks your service-connected disability has improved, they'll send you out a letter that says, hey, we think that this condition's improved, and here's why we think that. It's called a proposed reduction. Now, many veterans make the mistake of trying to file an appeal on that proposed reduction, but that's actually not the correct move. It's not a final decision. It's a proposal, so you cannot appeal it. However, there are some important deadlines you should know. If you get a proposed reduction letter, you have 60 days to respond to that proposed reduction. And your response should be either additional evidence or argument as to why you should not be reduced. Maybe the exam that they based the reduction off of was inadequate, so you want to make those arguments. Maybe you have additional medical evidence that shows that your condition is more severe than the VA is saying. And maybe you have lay statements that also show that your condition may be more severe than what the VA is saying. Put together that evidence or that argument and submit it off to the VA before that 60-day deadline. You could also request a hearing in the case of a proposed reduction. If you request a hearing within 30 days of receiving that letter, then the VA will not reduce you until you've had that hearing. You could still get a hearing after that 30-day time period, but they may make a decision on reduction before they have the hearing. There's also different standards of proof that the VA has to meet before they reduce you. Those different standards of proof depend on how long you've been service-connected for. Check out my other videos on reductions to get more information there. The worst, absolutely worst thing you could do is not respond at all, because then the VA is most certainly going to implement that reduction. And to recap, if you're going to ask for an increase on one of your conditions, 1, be prepared for the CMP exam. 2, research that diagnostic code and see how the VA actually rates that condition. 3, if you're 100% permanent total, you may want to rethink filing new claims or asking for increases. 4, just because you had surgery doesn't mean that you're entitled to an increase for your condition. And 5, God forbid you do get a proposed reduction, make sure you appropriately respond. If you guys need help with the VA claim, visit me at vetlawoffice.com or call 1-800-700-4174. There's no fee unless I win. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing, and as always, you have the power to change your VA claim.